Okay, so I asked you guys if you could start by getting page 21 out. Those of you who were here on Friday, we already wrote on here, so that's why we have something that looks similar that I just passed out. Also on Friday, I think this class we needed to finish the notes here on the bottom. So you do need to know the names of all the phases. So I'm gonna leave this here for a minute to make sure everybody has this filled out on the bottom of page 21. There's a couple people, so hang on. So everybody copy that down on the bottom of page 21 if you don't have it. No, I mean 21. That's because you didn't redo the page numbers the day I asked you to redo the page numbers. That's page 21. So you do need to have the phases of the moon memorized. If I show you any of these pictures, you need to be able to name it. You also need to be able to do the reverse. You need to be able to draw them if I give you the name. So I just give those of you who are absent a couple minutes to catch up on this. I'll pass out, if you have your Post-it note from Friday, you can grab that. If you need a new one, come here, new Post-it note. The other thing I'm gonna ask, especially those of you who were not here on Friday, please don't go ahead. Even if you think you're catching on, please don't go ahead because it will confuse you in the end, I promise. Oh, thank you. Now, one thing that I've discovered today has helped. And you guys are the ones who most of you were absent. None of my other classes had as many people out on Friday. One thing, oops, you guys still copying?
What is the standard of waxing border?
Half and half, light and right. So one thing, and this will be good for those of you who were even here, but maybe struggled a little bit with memorizing names. On this Post-it note, especially those of you guys who were here, you remember that every time we looked at a phase of the moon, I asked you a set of questions. And those questions started with, it was the phases of the moon. So it started with, all my questions started with is it all light or all dark? You guys remember the rest of the questions I would ask? I always asked, is this moon all light, all dark? What was my next question? Mostly light or mostly dark? Or half and half? So I asked that about every single moon phase we looked at. Is it all light? That's a full moon. All dark? New moon. Mostly light. Oh, sorry, you guys are still copying, no? All light, all dark, or half and half? What kind of moon is all light? That's the full moon. What kind of moon is all dark? New moon. What kind of moon is mostly light? No, just gibbous part. We don't know if it's waxing or waning, we just know it's gibbous. What kind of moon is mostly dark? That's a crescent. And what kind of moon is half and half? Quarter. So this is basically the bottom of page 21, kind of summed up on a Post-it note. Except for there's one more, and that's what Harley was bringing up. Waxing, we then have to figure out if the moon is waxing or waning. How do we tell the difference between the waxing? Yeah, where the light is. Yes, I'm switching to pen. Waxing or waning. And how do we know if it's waxing? Yep. And waning? Light on the left. So that way, we could, I'll let you guys finish those before I move on. So yes, this is basically page 21 repeated on a Post-it note. But for today's activity, you're going to hear me say this 8 times or more. This Post-it note is something I would memorize if I were you.
Did we bring this to the region?
No, that was called cheating. You can't even bring you can't even bring your own reference table. You can't, but maybe I will give you, well, I won't give you sticky notes. I will give you a scrap sheet of paper. You can write on that scrap sheet of paper the second you get into the regions, but not a moment before. So to start with, and again, those of you who were here on Friday, this is review. If I showed you this moon, go through your Post-it note, don't shout it out yet. What moon is this? Again, ask yourself, is it all light or all dark? No. Is it mostly light, mostly dark, or half and half? Now answer me. Mostly light, mostly dark, or half and half? Mostly light. What kind of moon is mostly light? Gibbous. And is the light on the right or the left? Left, so it's a waning gibbous. You need to be able to do that on your own. And to do that, I always go through the questions on the Post-it note. Here's, well, what's this one? Full moon. So again, if I had asked myself all light, all dark, I would have got the all light and know that that's a full moon. What about this? Wait. Okay, so we go through the list. Is it all light or all dark? No. Mostly light, mostly dark, or half and half? Mostly dark, which is a crescent, and waxing or waning? Waning because the light's on the left. So yes, Harley, you got it without going through all those steps. But yes, please, next time follow Anthony's directions. But so if you just have it memorized, that's great. This is the process, kind of makes it so you don't have to memorize abso-freaking-lutely everything. How about, okay, that one. Again, go through the process. Don't shout anything out. Ask yourself the questions in your head first. And yes, know the difference between your right and your left. Anybody? Who's got it? Raise your hand if you got it. No, the rest of you have it too, you little liars. I know you have it. Carly, you got it? Thinking. Leah, you got it? Okay, so let's go through the steps. All light, all dark? No. Mostly light, mostly dark, or half and half? Half and half. So half and half is a quarter. Now this one's weird because it's tilted a little bit and there's light on the right and the left. But if you were only given one choice, there's more light on the right. So it's waxing quarter, also known as a first quarter, but either way, I like to stick with the waxing and waning. Harley, do you have a question?
No.
Okay. All right. So now the next step. Can you flip over to page 20 and there's a little bit of blank space on the bottom of page 20. We did this on Friday already, right?
Yeah.
Let me see if I have a different one up there. I don't have a different one, so I'm going to shout one out. Can you please draw a waning gibbous? Waning gibbous on page 20, please. So we're gonna draw ourselves a waning gibbous. Hint, start with a circle.
I made a square.
Don't start with a square. Ask yourselves these questions. So a gibbous is going to be mostly light. Ooh, did I say waxing or waning? Okay, good. And waning is going to be light on the left. Draw yourself a waning gibbous. Even if you were here on Friday, do it again. Actually, that's why I picked the waning gibbous, because we didn't do a waning gibbous on Friday. This is supposed to be a circle, by the way. Nope, there, I fixed it. Still not great.
Are we shading the light part or the dark part?
Shading the dark part. So remember, a gibbous is mostly light, so you should only have a tiny bit of dark on a gibbous. A waning gibbous will look like this. Mostly light with the light on the left. There's the L of my hand for my left hand. Is that what yours look like?
Yeah.
Tyler?
Not exactly.
Harley says yours doesn't.
Oh, now it does.
Now it does, okay. Many people, and I'm guessing that's what happened in the back, is get our crescents and our gibbous confused. What would a waning crescent look like? It'd kind of be the reverse of this, but not quite. Where is for a waning crescent, where's the light? The left, but it's tiny. So see the difference between a waning gibbous and a waning crescent?
Yeah.
Okay, so don't get your crescents and your gibbous confused. Ready for the third thing they're going to ask you to do. So again, the first thing is, if you see a picture, by the way, here's a picture number, don't look at yours. What is this one? This one. It's a gibbous, waning or waxing? Waning. I know, I just so randomly picked that one. That's one thing, you gotta name it. You gotta draw it. And the next thing you gotta do, which we did on Friday up here, but we're gonna do it again on these papers, is we'll get there. Don't do that yet. So what you have to do is, if they point to this moon, you have to tell me what phase it is. Let me walk you through it. Please don't go ahead. If you were here though, and you think you've got it, who thinks they got it when they were here on Friday? You weren't here on Friday. All right, so here's what we'll do. Let's first start with, here's your paper. It looks like this. Please put it so all these circles are lined up along the bottom. This is supposed to represent the Earth. What are these circles going around the Earth then? That's the moon. Yeah, those are the different phases of the moon. What's missing from this model? Huh? The sun's missing. On Friday, we had the sun coming from the right. So since the Regents is made up of a bunch of jerk faces, I'm gonna be a jerk and change where the sun is coming from. So instead of the sun coming from the right today, we're going to have the sunlight coming from the left side of this paper. So add the sun, by the way. And on Friday, this was moon number 1. So let's make this one on the top moon number 1. And let's go counterclockwise. You know what? I lied. I'm sorry. Can we make this moon right here, moon number 1? And which one do I want to be moon number 2? We'll do it clockwise. Oh, I still messed up. Oh, well, we'll do it this way. Now on Friday, I already had half the moon colored in dark. The regents won't always tell you which side of the moon is dark. Can you tell me what side of the moon is dark and which side's light?
The one facing away from the sun is always dark.
The side facing the sun is always light, and the side facing the away from the sun is always dark. So we're gonna go ahead and color in the dark side of the moon. So moon number 1. Sorry. Now what about moon number 2? How do I shade in moon number 2? Which side's light and which side's dark? It's the same. So the same side is dark. How can the same side be dark? Still, the light is still the sun hasn't moved. It's going to be like that for all of them. Can I change the numbers one more time?
Do we have to?
Yes. Because I want you to maybe notice something, but maybe not. So does yours look like this right now? Or are you still coloring? Okay, I'll wait till everybody's done coloring. But don't go ahead yet. So those of you going ahead, I'm being a pain, I'm sorry. This time I'll admit it.
Taking our time.
Yep, I know what I'm doing. If you're not done coloring, please speed it up.
Seven more to go.
Oh, what? Do you need a new pencil?
No.
Okay. All right, here's the new numbers I want you to do. We're gonna stick with moon number 1 is in the same spot, but we're gonna go the opposite way.
Why is that?
I'll show you why when we get there. I'm sorry, that was my fault.
Do you have to get fonts?
I'll show you when we get there. This is the, I promise, the last time on this side of the paper, I'm changing it.
So.
There's 2 sides.
Of course,
So does everybody's look like this so far?
Yeah.
Okay, now here's where it gets a little weird. You guys got your Post-it notes still? So to do this activity, since the whole light on the right, light on the left, front and back of the moon is important, what I need you to do is whatever moon we're going to look at needs to be on the top of the page. So you may have noticed, I want to start with moon number 1. So I have to turn my paper sideways. When I turn it sideways, what I'm doing is, see, notice me, the earth, and the moon, we're all lined up in a nice straight line. And the reason for this is I can only, or you can only see what side of the moon can you look at when you're looking up at it. You can only see the side of the moon that's facing Earth. Whether it's light or dark, doesn't matter. You can only see the front of the moon. Just like right now, you can only see the front of my face, or at least Aiden and I, who are lined up perfect. He can only see the front of me. He has no idea what's going on in the back of my head. He doesn't see that I have a big old bald spot right here. No, it's not true, I don't. But he wouldn't be able to see because he's not in front of me, or because he is in front of me. So why I'm getting to that is you can't see the back of the moon, and you guys know how much I love to get rid of extra information. That's where your Post-it note comes into play. Take your Post-it and cover up the back half of the moon. Aiden, turn your paper. when you cover up the back half, if you were a person right here and you look up at the moon, would you be able to see it?
No.
No. What are you looking at if you're looking at it?
Dark.
All dark. And then when you go through this list that I had you write on your Post-it note, what moon is all dark? New moon. So now we're going to draw the new moon. So notice I put my paper back to normal. At the bottom, for the first one in line, we're gonna label it new moon. How do I draw a new moon? Shade it all in, because it's all dark. Now we gotta move on to moon number 2, and so that new moon I think was kind of easy. Moon number 2 is gonna be different. Again, you gotta turn it. So moon number 2 is now on the top of your paper. So not only this is when we were sideways, we're like, but not all the way upside down. We're like tilted sideways, like tilted upside down sideways. Again, you are welcome to draw the person. Those of you who were here on Friday, you might be past drawing the people. Take your Post-it note and cover up the back half.
I get why you gave me a border now.
Okay, but I don't want you to focus on that. Now that the moon is now that you've covered up the back half. Yeah, you're good. Now that you covered up the back half, ask yourselves those questions on the Post-it note. Is it all light? No. Is it all dark? No. Is it mostly light, mostly dark, or half and half? Mostly dark. What kind of moon is mostly dark? Crescent. And is the light on the right or the left of this one? Light's on the right. So this is a waxing crescent. So we've got to go back down and draw a waxing crescent. So moon number 2 down here is a waxing crescent. To be honest, I can't picture which side is light and dark.
The left side is dark on the.
I'm maybe we'll go through it at the end, but I'm not positive. Let me Google it once you guys are working. How do we draw a waxing crescent?
You like.
Light on the right, little bit of light on the right.
You like make it look like a sideways smiley face.
If you were here on Friday and you just want to plow through these, you're welcome to. For the rest of us, ready to do moon number 3? What's the first thing I asked you to do now for moon number 3? Turn your paper. So everybody turn your paper. Those of you who have noticed a pattern, stop writing down the pattern. Now I probably should have left the numbers irregular if we didn't see the pattern.
Okay.
Exactly. Moon number 3, you should have the paper completely upside down. Cover up the back half, mostly light, mostly dark, half and half. Half and half, light on the right or the left? Right. What kind of moon is half and half with the light on the right? Waxing quarter. Moon number 4. Cover up the back half. Mostly light, mostly dark, half and half. Better look again. Can't do this without turning your paper. Mostly light. What kind of moon is mostly light? Gibbous. Light on the right or the left? Right. So this is waxing gibbous. How do you draw a waxing gibbous? It is almost all light with just a little bit, probably even less than what I just covered up there. Redraw that. Just a little bit missing from the left. Moon number 5, paper sideways, cover up the back half. What are we left with? Full moon. All light. That one was easy to draw. Number 6 on the top. No. Yep. Cover up the back half. So Aiden, you got this perfectly on Friday and now you're trying to skip steps. So I'm going to tell all of you not to skip steps. Do not look at the pattern. Don't go by what you think you have memorized. Ask yourselves these questions. Is it a new moon or a full moon? No. Is it mostly light, mostly dark, or half and half? Hopefully you're looking and you see that when you cover up the back half, this is mostly light and the light is on the left. So this is a waning gibbous. Moon number 7, cover up the back half. Mostly light, mostly dark, half and half. Half and half, which is a quarter. Light's on the left, this is a waning quarter. And finally, moon number 8, mostly light, mostly dark, half and half. Mostly dark, and what kind of moon is mostly dark? Waning, because it's our light on the left, it's a waning crescent. Now, do you see a pattern? What do you notice? What pattern are you seeing? Slowly getting lighter and lighter on the right. Now, it's great that you see a pattern. And that's why I numbered it the way I did it. So you saw the way it went in real life. In real life, we start with a new moon. And it slowly gets lighter on the right until we've completely waxed it and it's all shiny. And then it starts to wane. It's great that you see a pattern. It's great that you see a pattern, except for they're very rarely going to put it in there so the pattern stands out. Plus, they also are never going to make you say what are all 8 phases. They're just going to pick a random one, and you got to be able to know what that phase is. And that way you wouldn't have to go through the whole process. Plus, like I said, they're going to mess with you. And that's how I'm going to do your homework. Are you ready for your homework? Turn your paper over. There's another one. Here, this time, the light's going to come from the right. And I'm trying to keep the homework all the same. This time, the number 1 is going to be on the top of the page. And this time we might as well pretend we're a clock and go clockwise. Yep, positive this time. Not changing it at all.
You said the light on the right side?
I said the sun is coming from the right. So you guys can go ahead and get started on your homework. We are 1 slide behind the other classes, but we'll catch up. This is all set for you to do your homework now. Those of you who are absent, make sure you get in your take-home quiz as well.